And this is the first session at Columbia of our seminar Politique au temps présent, which is a seminar of the Collège International de Philosophie. The Collège International de Philosophie was founded by Jacques Derrida in 1983, and it involves now 50 program directors in France and abroad, and even in the US. I would like to thank both La Maison Française, Michel Feher, Bachir, and Roundtable, Columbia in Paris, for hosting this seminar. Thank you. As you said, the issue that we will discuss today takes place in a specific context, as you know, since we are between the two rounds of the French presidential elections, and the US presidential election will follow. I just would like to underline in a few words the stakes of this issue, at least in France, and the reasons why we chose this topic for our roundtable. In France, most immigrants come from countries that were colonized by France, and the question of immigration could be a relevant way for examining the politics of public memory or the absence of such politics. France is haunted by its colonial past, and there is a very astonishing gap between the academic studies on colonialism and the public memory. The fact is, in my opinion, that instead of a public narrative of the wars of colonization or of independence, or instead of a public account of French colonialism, we deal with un passé qui ne passe pas, a past which doesn't pass away. And there is a strong relation between this past that doesn't pass away and the public discourses on immigration in France. And I would like to describe a double movement. On the one hand, there is a constant reaffirmation of our public values, such as French republicanism, universalism, secularism, gender equality, hospitality, and France as the country of the human rights, and so on. There is also a public discourse that expresses a will to protect our citizens against what is supposed to be their own racism. According to our common belief, xenophobia is spread in the working class, and the political elite tries to reduce popular racism using politics that would protect immigrants and protect the virtues of the Republic. On the other hand, for the last 5 years, the French government has been developing a politics of rejection of immigrants, rejection of illegal immigrants, but also of legal immigrants. And different measures have been adopted, attributing criminality to immigrants, an increase of the deportation of illegal immigrants, and a reduction of residence permits, the deportation of gypsies, even though they are European and should be free to move where they want into the Schengen area, the establishment of an annual quota of deportation, the creation of a national identity and immigration department, the organization of a public debate concerning the national identity, and a draft bill to take away French citizenship from recently naturalized French citizens when they are convicted of certain crimes, and so on. More generally, we could observe what Patrick Weil, is a French historian, what he calls denationalization of the naturalization. I mean, naturalization depends on prefects who are representative of the national government, of the executive power. And the prefects don't apply the law, but they have to decide for each case if they will give or not the French citizenship. They have a discretionary power that they directly exercise on immigrants. And according to Patrick Weil, It expresses a loss of sovereignty for the people if we consider law as an expression of the general will. I would rather say that it expresses in a Schmittian way the decisionist character of the law. It expresses also a substantial conception of the French identity. Recent immigrants have to speak French and to adopt the values defined by the Ministry of the Interior. Those values are, for example, freedom and equality, especially towards women, laïcité, secularism, monogamy, French manners, love for the French Republic. In a word, they have to endorse a substantial French identity. And all these measures were justified by the government as protecting the legal immigrants against the working class xenophobia. To reduce the number of immigrants would be a way to make their presence bearable. But the fact is that if we consider the opinion polls, people think that the most important problems are the buying power, the public utilities, the social inequalities, the education, and not the immigration, even when they vote for the extreme right-wing party, National. Eric Fassin and Michel Feher explain in their books how this xenophobia from above was developed, and we are going to hear them explain their ideas. I just would like to underline the fact that the question of immigration is at the intersection of central social and political stakes. I would like to give just one example to show that we need an intersectional approach to immigration. This example is the anti-burqa law. This law was passed a few months ago, and it was passed in order to restore Muslim women's dignity and to protect them against the Muslim men who were supposed to force them to wear the burqa. And most of those men are from the French ex-colonies. In my view, it showed that our laïcité, secularism, is what Cécile Laborde calls Catholicité, Catholic secularism. And it shows also that the question of immigration articulates stakes concerning colonization and post-colonialism, racialization of religion, gender and race. That's why it's a very central political topic, and that's why we chose this topic for our first roundtable, and that's why we would like to compare the French and the US political context that surrounds presidential elections in both countries. Let me introduce our panelists in alphabetical order. Ariane Chebel is a professor at Sciences Po, researcher at Sciences Po, and professor at University.
It's confusing.
Okay. And she's the author of many books, including Frontiers of Fears, Migration and Security in the United States and Europe. Eric Fassin, who is a professor at the Political Science Department at Université Paris 8. His most recent book is Démocratie précaire, chronique de la dépression d'État. Michel Feher is a philosopher and he's a director of Zone Books in New York. He has notably published Non-Governmental Politics. And Eric Fassin and Michel Feher are both members of the association Cette France-là. And they have co-published last month Sans papier préfecture books, Sans papier et préfet, and Xenophobia from above. Rodolfo de la Garza is a professor of political science at Université, and his most recent book is Muted Voices, Latinos and the 2000 Elections, Moya. He's a professor of history here at University, and he has notably published the Oxford Handbooks of Latin American History. Okay. So, thank you very much.